Goodness gracious. It is a day to start right here. Hello everyone. Welcome to the Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show here live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. I hit
Yeah.
I hit the intro button, or the intro song JW, and forgot to take it off loop, and then I forgot to unmute us both when we started.
Well,
And
I
kind
could,
of an ominous way to start the show.
yeah, I'm getting ready to go,
Well,
you know.
that's just it. I put us in. Normally, it doesn't mute us, so maybe it's learning like
Yeah,
my habits to where I usually mute us when
well,
I
that
don't
could
know.
be, yeah.
Jeez
I'm sure that's
Louise.
it. I'm sure that's it.
Oh, anyways, so a rough start to the coaches show. Talking about last week's game, last Saturday's game. Bluffton traveled to Spartan Stadium to take on LCC. Walked away, JW, with a 31-21 loss to the Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
Go ahead, start.
I'm not even sure what to say about it. It's not that we played horrible. I think we played a pretty decent game, but we just never had any breakout moments at all. I mean, which we're used to having some really big plays. Those big plays weren't happening because LCC they were that good. I mean, they were that good. I can't
My
take anything from them.
my overall takeaway: we didn't play a bad game, but we didn't play a good game.
No,
And LCC played a really good defensively, offensively sound game, and really just kind of took it to us, disrupted what we wanted to do offensively enough to where we weren't able to produce as many points as we were giving up defensively. Because honestly, JW, we struggled to stop them because they did not punt.
right, absolutely. And the thing is, we talked about it, before the game that these guys are tough. I mean,
Yeah.
and they played what I thought was almost a perfect game for playing against Bluffton. They took a lot of time off the clock. They took every second they could, and they kept us off the field for long periods of time. So,
Mhm.
kudos to them. I mean, they played a great game.
In a 31-21 game, they had the ball for 57 plays. We had the ball for 32. And to me, that is just, I mean, that's it talks into just exactly what you were talking about with the fact that they were being very methodical. We
Right.
mentioned it multiple times on the broadcast that they weren't starting their cadence to start the play anywhere until it got to at least 10 on the play clock.
Oh yeah, or
And
less.
yeah, and a lot of, well, I'm saying in general, for the
Yeah,
most part,
yeah.
that was the pace. But at the same time, they were at the line at 25, 26 seconds left on the play clock.
Oh
So they
yeah.
were making our defense set up and be ready for a play in case they snapped it, because they very well could have quick
Sure.
snapped and gotten us out of position. It,
Yeah.
it was
Just
it was a game where they had a perfect game plan.
Yeah, I thought too. It was just very well coached, very well, played out by the boys. And yeah, what are you gonna do? It just wasn't our night.
Yeah, and it's there are a lot of things going on this year that just
Ah,
you and I have talked about that have kind of just blown our mind in the aspect of the amount of injuries that we're going through. This is not at all excuses. Don't take it as that. We've the amount of injuries, and what I would say with the injury bug is you have to put somebody in and start working on meshing with those guys that are in. So every time a new guy comes into the lineup, you have that process of still
right.
getting and meshing. We're having to do that an awful lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was like one of the fans said that during the week. He goes, "It's like we're kind of a walking infirmary right now on our team because we've
You're
had
not wrong.
so many major injuries."
Yeah, I mean, and we won't get into the to details of, but like during the game, Jackson Bolus just he was out, and all
Yeah,
of a
yeah,
sudden he was in there for the first couple of drives, offensively, then defensively he was in there, and then he wasn't, and that
yeah,
takes that the offense and defense both take hits during that time when that
Right.
happens.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Then you have Blaine Hill later in the game that gets hurt, and you have
Yep.
to throw a different guy in now. And so
Sure.
like it's a process. Hopefully we get some guys back. Hopefully we get some of these guys that are able to recover, that don't have season-ending injuries, and get them
Right.
back
Yeah.
to kind of you know, I don't know, deepen our bench again a little bit.
Yeah. We're not real deep right now. I mean, we're on second and third people in some positions right now, and like you said, no excuse. Everybody's got issues, so
Right.
we just have to find a way to get through this until we can get some of these guys healed up a little bit.
Total yards on Saturday, LCC 408 to Bluffton's 224. We were talking about that. We're used to seeing 224 for either passing or rushing,
Right,
not
absolutely.
game
Yeah, not
total.
for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They actually outgained us on the ground to our overall. They had 246 rushing yards, and that's where they killed us. They
oh, absolutely.
Carter Lester, sophomore running back for LCC, our Riley Creek Sportswear Player of the Game. We could have went a couple of different avenues for LCC's offensive
Sure.
success, but we just felt with the way, and I stand even more firm on this now, seeing the totals, the fact that they ran for 246 and we had 224
Right.
overall.
Overall, yeah.
They really did. They salted the clock away. We weren't able to really stop them successfully. But Carter Lester was able to run up the middle, off the tackles, and pretty effectively. That's not taking anything away from him, but we struggled to put a cap on what they could do offensively, and it showed
Yeah.
that, with the only time that they didn't score on a drive that didn't end in downing the ball was an interception late in the first half,
Right.
and that was
Yeah.
it.
I think that was Tate, wasn't it? That
Yeah,
picked that one.
Tate
Yeah.
intercepted it. Yeah, and now they did go for the first on fourth down 3 times, and they were successful every single time.
Right. Yeah.
Like we didn't turn them over on downs. That doesn't seem right. It says there were no penalties, but
I
it
don't
says no
believe that
penalties
because
for
I
us
know for
too.
sure we had a couple.
I was gonna say we had a couple that really
Yeah.
stung and bit us at the wrong time. So
Yeah.
it's a difficult pill to swallow, a loss. The one thing I can take away from this, JW, and tell me your thoughts, is, as the stats look, as the eye test looked while we were watching us on defense and be disrupted on offense as poorly, and I use that in quotes because I don't necessarily think we played a horrible game. We still only lost by 10 points
Yeah.
with the injuries that we sustained and have sustained. Those things, we were in this ball game until very late in the game.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we were within 3 points for quite a while, and then that last 7 they got at the end there. But we were never really out of the game, but it just didn't seem like we were ever really in the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like, once we got behind it, it was just very doubtful we were going to catch back up because of the way things were progressing.
Yeah, well, and the fact that they used so much clock every time they touched the ball,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
think that probably helped keep us in the game a little bit more as well,
Sure.
because they salted the clock away, but they'd go score. And then we could go in the first half, we went back down and we'd score to keep it right there. But they'd come down and salt it away a little bit and then score. And it was
again. Yeah.
it just, and then in the second half we just couldn't keep pace with them.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I've not seen our line dominated. I kind of feel like we did get dominated, but we've not seen that this year so far.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to bring in Coach Richards, talk to him about the game last Saturday at at Spartan Stadium against the LCC T-Birds, and get his thoughts on certain aspects, and then after that we'll talk about this week's game. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to step away, take a quick break. We'll be right back. You are watching the Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show live on Facebook, YouTube, and
Forget about those boring workouts. Jazzercise Bluffton brings the fire, loud music, big moves, zero apologies. This is more than fitness. It's strength, mental and physical. We offer 10 classes a week, high energy, full power. Call 419-722-4427 for more information. Jazzercise Bluffton. Train strong, live stronger.
Bluffton Auto Repair Center provides friendly, reliable service for all your hometown car needs. Call 419-358-1900. Bluffton Auto Repair Center, across the street from Stratton Auto Group on Main and Jefferson in Bluffton.
Blanchard Valley Health System isn't just a hospital. We are an integrated health system providing comprehensive care in Northwest Ohio. For more information, please visit bvhealthsystem.org. Blanchard Valley Health System. We're here for you.
Fat Jack's Pizza in Lime, Ohio has 3 locations on West Street, Finley Road, and Spencerville Road to serve you. Family owned and operated, Fat Jack's offers great food options. Go to fatjackspizza.com for menus and more information.
Kira's Flipside Grill on Main Street in Bluffton offers a made-in menu, live weekly music, craft beer and cocktails, plus kids' meals too. Kira's Flipside Grill. Exceptional food, hip atmosphere, unique dining experience.
welcome back to the Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show live here on Facebook, YouTube, and X. We're back with Coach Jeff Richards. And Coach, it's a tough one to take, a loss period, but can you talk about what your overall view of what last week all entailed?
It was a competitive game against two good teams, and one team had 25 more plays of offense than the other one. And you know, when you hold the ball for over 30 minutes and limit another team's offense from getting on the field, it makes it pretty easy to control a lead. We went through it and stuff, and yardage wise, things like that, we were pretty consistent with a lot of stuff we did. Our number of plays got us offensively. Yeah. Defensively, they were getting 4 to 6 yards per. I think their average yards per rush was 6 on the game, and our average yards per rush was about 6 on the game. The only difference is they were getting it consistently. Every play was like 4 yards a carry. Then they'd get an 8 yard, and their whole plan was to keep our offense off the field. That was their goal, and they did that really, really well. Didn't help that, we would get them on 3rd and short and stuff, and we just couldn't get a stop. I think, defensively, if we can hold tough on a couple of those 3rd and shorts, 4th and shorts, I think we get more opportunities to score. I think we only ran, 4 or 5 plays in the first quarter because their first drive, they held it that long. So, and our first drive was 10 plays. It wasn't like it was a short, possession, but with our offense, if we can't get on the field, it's hard to score points. They've had a really good defense throughout the year, and we were able to score, pretty well in the first half. It was pretty much even with the exception of our missed extra point. We were even. We got a takeaway right before halftime, but it wasn't something that we were really confident in trying to throw something reckless out right before half, especially with we had guys getting banged up there in the second quarter. So, it's a game I wish we could play again. And I think under different circumstances, maybe we get first possession and we score first with the way their offense is. I think it could have, changed some things with the tempo of the game. But, you look 2 minutes to go in the game. It's a 3-point game. We're right there. Yeah. We don't let them score that one to go up 10. And then, we're having to force stuff because we knew we were limited time-wise. But, we came within 3 with about 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. So I was really happy with where we were sitting. We weren't playing our best, but, we were hanging there, and we just didn't get it done. It was reality what it was.
I think that's really telling of the game overall on Saturday when you just said it. We got within 3 with 9 minutes left, and they scored their touchdown to make it 2 possessions with like 2.5 minutes left in the game. They were able to really dominate. And JAW and I would talk, we could, like you just said, we couldn't get them to punt. We just couldn't get them to punt. Can you talk about their running back, Carter Lester? He was our player of the game last week. That young man, he's a stout young man, but he's I saw it multiple times, and I mentioned to JW, we put a shoulder on him, but we didn't wrap him, and he wasn't going down.
Yeah, well, one thing with Lester, he's an even better wrestler. So you want to see him watch him wrestle. He's a really good wrestler, but very, very strong young man. Yeah, absolutely. But a very strong young man. He's not breakaway fast, but he just, and it wasn't, watching on film, it wasn't like we weren't in position to make tackles. It was just he was falling forward. He was very strong. We had multiple guys had him wrapped up and just, we were tackling him, but he was falling forward as he was being tackled. And the same thing with their quarterback. The kid, he's a solid runner. He's a big kid. He's over 200 pounds. So, you get these big backs and they're moving forward and they're in a position to where they don't need to score fast. They were milking the clock in their very first possession of the game. So we knew their goal was to try to keep it lower scoring and to try to just manage long drives. And, Lester, he did what they needed him to do. I think in other circumstances, you wish you had a faster back and some things like that. They just needed a strong back that could keep consistently churning out, that 4 to 6 yards. And that's what he did. So I thought he did well. They had a real mature offensive line that was good size and big. And, they were able to just consistently play. I mean, they played some old school, just we're going to get a few yards every single down, short and try to convert. And, a lot of times we've been successful about making them, getting that stop we need to force a punt, and we just couldn't do it on Saturday.
I think I mentioned 6-7 times, JW, the term rugby scrum, because that's exactly what it looked like when he got into when their backs got into that big mass. They were trying to push forward, and they were being successful, relatively successful.
Yeah, they did a nice job.
But we're fighting back and forth. It just looked like a big old rugby scrum. A lot of times we didn't have somebody to call on a tackle because it was just everybody was there.
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
JW.
Do you think they could have played a better game against us? I mean, honestly, by the way they took the time off the clock and so forth, I thought they played a pretty well.
It was
really well executed plan.
Yeah, there was no secret what their game plan was.
Right.
It was just, we couldn't, our answer to it is our offense, and we would respond after their scores. But the problem was is then they would get the ball. Second half, we had very minimal possessions in the second half. The first drive again was 10 plus minutes, but we'd score in 3 plays, and then they'd get the ball back and start milking the clock again. So
yeah, absolutely.
Their coaching staff did a great job. Their kids executed really well. I would have liked to have seen us, put on a better performance, but it is what it is. Can't go back.
Yeah, with the added and extended drives, that just drains your defense too. So we get out there offensively, and we talked about that in the first segment, was we would respond to them, but then they'd get the ball and just milk it even more, and that just drains our defense.
Yeah. Well, and also our defense is our offense, because not many guys were coming off the field at all.
Right.
And that's a big part of it. Tate had, I think 18, 19 tackles and an interception.
He was way up there.
He, and he was efficient passing the ball. That last interception late, that was us trying to make something big happen early. And and once again, they played a great game. So I think, it's a team that they're going to do really, really well this season, as their ranking in the state and their record right now shows. And for our guys, we've got to just get better at what we can and continue to, keep trying each week to get healthier and healthier as we go. And, I think we're at a point right now that we're in a good spot. I think we keep getting better and getting healthier. And by the end of the season, who knows what happens. We need a little help from some other teams in the conference to knock them off, to get us back in the fight to win it. But it's not unheard of, for sure.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, let's go ahead right now. Take that game and put it in the rearview mirror. Let's not revisit that one. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, Coach, we'll talk about this week's game with the Crestview Knights when they come into Harmon Field on Friday, homecoming for the Bluffton Pirates. But we're going to take a quick break. You're watching the Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show live on Facebook, YouTube, and X.
With 27 years of experience and attention to detail, Angels Flooring provides many flooring services. Call 419-302-7151 for more information. Angels Flooring, serving Bluffton and surrounding areas since 2009.
Grove Systems in Bluffton is hiring for its 2026 apprenticeship class, where you attend Road States for 2 days and train at Grove for 3 days during the week. Program covers tuition and pays you for 40 hours. Go to joingrove.com/apprentice for more information.
Axe Ventura is open every Thursday through Sunday with locations in Findlay and Bellefontaine. Walk-ins are welcome, but reservations are recommended. Visit axeventura.com to book today. Axe Ventura, family-friendly fun focusing on the axe experience.
Lounge Media Group is a multimedia company that provides internet, radio broadcast, radio, and podcast services. Go to loungemediagroup.us for more information. Lounge Media Group, big city quality with a hometown price.
All right, welcome back to the Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show live here on Facebook, YouTube, and X. I'm Sam Sprunger, joined by JW Shannon, and as well as Coach Jeff Richards. Coach, this week we enter week 7. We got to get well. You always want to recover well after a game that is disappointing like that. Can you talk about the Crestview Knights coming in this week?
Yeah, Crestview, really good team. I think offensively, their running attack is what jumps out. The Leith kid is, I think he's still top 10 in the nation in yardage. He's a big part of what they do offensively. They do have the ability to throw the ball, and their quarterback can run a little bit well, but, a lot of it falls on him. He's averaging 25, 30 carries a game, had multiple games with over 200. He had his first game of the year, he had over 400 yards. So, good running back. And, one of the best compliments you can get, is when Marion Locals says, the running back's pretty good. And that's them, giving that compliment before the game. So, he's definitely somebody we got to account for, but then also, they've got some good, their tight ends are good size. They've got some receivers that can do some things too. Defensively, they're an interesting defense. They put a lot of pressure on teams. They've had a few games where they've given up some points, but it seems like they've been getting better week to week and kind of limiting those points. They've got some good linebackers. They got some big, strong linebackers, I think, and their defensive line's got good size. So, they always have a really good, well-coached team, and they play real physical. I know they're really, really looking, really positive to where the season's taking them sitting at 5-1 right now. So, I think we both, are set up for it's going to be a really, really good game.
Well, they're coming off a 35-0 win over Delphus Jefferson, and so they're coming in on a high note at least. What has can you talk? Let's talk a little bit about the fact that we played Saturday, so that throws off the next week. And actually, a Saturday game throws off 2 weeks worth of preparation and other games. Can you talk about the inverse side of, we talked last week, you had an extra day. You have one less day now.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah. So what we did, kind of the response to that is Sunday evening, we opened up the Motter Center for kids that needed to ice or stretch and things like that. We had film up, but we couldn't waste a Monday looking back at Saturday.
Right.
So we had to move on. So Monday, we were back on our typical Monday schedule, and we got rolling from there. It was a frustrating week to have to do that because you're coming off of a loss against a really good team. But also, that being said, the kids understand, we've got 4 more games of this regular season, and we've got to keep getting better if we want to accomplish our goals. So, Monday, actually, the attention to detail I was very, very pleased with, because the kids really responded and knew, that we can't change what happened Saturday, but we have a definite control over how we can prepare, and they've done a good job of that this week.
Good.
How was the overall locker room feel for them? I mean, you get a game that you kind of underperform or you suffer some injuries, you can kind of see maybe the locker room go down a little bit. Has there been any of that so far?
Well, a big emphasis we've had is, one, nobody's allowed to point fingers in our program. It's an everybody thing. One of the first things that's going to happen if we see somebody being selfish and wanting to blame somebody else is we're going to check that real quick.
Yeah.
But another big part of it is, with injuries and stuff, I said I'll never once blame a loss on injuries or blame a loss on the weather or something like that. It's a physical game, and injuries, everybody's dealing with it. That's the reality of football. But then also in the next breath, I tell them, at no point will our opponents ever feel sorry for us because we've got guys injured or banged up.
Right.
So, the guys we've got, they've got to make sure they're ready to go, and we go from there. So, I think a big thing for us has been we've got a lot of young guys that we weren't expecting to have to lean on this year, and we've been doing that for a number of weeks. And, I think in the long run, that's going to pay dividends because those guys got a lot of experience. We did the math. I think 41% of our roster has been injured this year. So that's not a pleasant thing to say.
Yeah,
but also that, we've got some tough kids that are definitely getting better. And we've got some guys that skill-wise have improved greatly from week 1 to now.
What are you?
Yeah, it seems like the young kids are stepping up really well. I mean, I'm impressed with even some of the freshmen are playing a bit.
Oh, absolutely.
And I thought they've handled the pressure extremely well.
Yep.
What are you wanting? What was something we didn't cover in the first segment with you was, kind of the one thing that kind of stood out that we didn't perform well on. Not that we were horrible at it, but we just didn't perform well. What are we working on this week? Anything from last week that stood out that we needed to make better for this week?
A big part jumps out is, defensively with tackling and things like that, but it wasn't so much the missed tackles. It was the, just the consistently not getting the tackle at the line of scrimmage. We had guys getting them wrapped up, but then getting dragged. And so, it's not a big change. A lot of it is just understanding that, the emphasis we put on it, we can say it and say it and say it, but until you get into the game and see it, kids don't quite understand. And they knew they were in for a tough game with LCC. They know they're in for a tough game this week with Crestview. So, a big part of it is just the kids understanding. And a big part that, it gets overlooked with experience is when you've got new kids and, we had a lot of kids that was their first really big game they've played in.
Yeah.
They've been on the sidelines. They've been on the team for it. But, this is their time that they're the ones under the lights, and they're the ones that have to make the plays. And the gravity of the situation really comes into play. And I think they got their first taste of kind of a playoff atmosphere.
Sure.
And the only way they can learn from that is to actually do it. So I'd rather have it happen mid-season than their first dose of it being in the postseason when you have zero room for error.
Yeah, because this game has no effect on game 15 when we get there this year. Yeah.
I was going to say, and you that statement of I don't mind necessarily losing. You don't want to lose a game, but if you're going to have to, let's do it in the middle of the season and learn from it and understand, okay, what did we do, individually as things that we can improve upon to go to the next week and then the next week. And it's just going to get better with those guys.
I think that's a good part about having, good teams in the conference.
Yeah.
You look at, the MAC is the gold standard for a football conference of schools our size. They've proven that. And that's a conference where week in and week out, you've got teams, quote unquote, getting upset when really it's just they're playing equally as good teams.
Yeah.
And then you hit the postseason and they're running through all kinds of divisions. So, for us, I know LCC is a really good team, and I know that, I know Crestview is a really good team. So for us, it's, we're making mistakes right now we can't make later on in the season. So we've got to fix those. And luckily we've got that opportunity right now. But you get some conferences where the conference isn't very talented, and you see a team that goes 10-0, 9-1, and they've never really been tested. And then they get blown out by an underdog team that's from a better conference. I mean, Delphus St. John's went, I think, 3-7 and was in the regional finals last year. Yeah. So you can't really tell some conferences how tough they are until they get to the playoffs. But I think with our conference, it's a benefit that we get that, that tough games early and we can learn from them.
All right. So, the time of possession, I think, was the biggest thing last week. I think, it turned out that the time of possession, and that was because LCC was successful at salting away the clock at their, with their end. What is it this week that we've got to really, of those three keys, that's most important against Crestview?
I'd say it's time and possession. We got to get off the field on defense. Yeah. Offensively, I've never once doubted our ability to score, but you can't score very easily if your offense isn't on the field. So, I think a big part of it for us is defensively getting stops. But then on the flip side of that, offensively, we can't be reckless, and we got to make sure we score when we get the ball. And that's our goal, is to score every single possession. And you don't always get it. And if we're not going to score, we better pin them in really bad field position.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Coach Jeff Richards, always tough to lose one, but the nice thing is when it happens in the regular season, there's always a next week. So there's a game to get better and to improve upon. So thanks so much for coming and joining us this week. Let's get to 6-1.
Sounds good.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. JW and I will wrap up the show. You are watching the Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show live on Facebook, YouTube, and X.
Thanks, Jeff.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm agent Jason Cox can help you bundle your home and auto insurance today and save money with a State Farm personal price plan. Jason Cox State Farm. Go to jasonismyguy.com for more information.
Pirates look good on the gridiron, and Eikenberry Landscape keeps Bluffton looking good off the field. Design, install, maintain. With a great team and great clients, we get the job done. Call 419-205-0759 for more information or a quote. Eikenberry Landscape Company, proudly serving Pirate Country for all your landscaping needs. Riley Creek Sportswear in Bluffton provides embroidery, screen printing, letter jackets, and more for any size group. Call 467-204-8621 for more information or a quote. Riley Creek Sportswear, your small town, family-owned sportswear connection.
Blanchard Valley Health System isn't just a hospital. We are an integrated health system providing comprehensive care in Northwest Ohio. For more information, please visit bvhealthsystem.org. Blanchard Valley Health System. We're here for you.
Southgate Lanes of Bluffton is open to the public and offers plenty of fun with sand volleyball, craft beer, and obviously food. Southgate Lanes, south of Bluffton on Main. Food's so good, you'd swear it's a restaurant.
All right, welcome back to the Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show, live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. We're wrapping up things for week 7 on the Coaches Show. JW, we've got Crestview coming in. Coach talked about last week that the time of possession was absolutely very paramount to victory. I agree.
Yeah.
That was the telltale of how the game went. He also says it's this week too. And what are your thoughts on that one?
Well, I mean, Crestview's always got a big, strong team, and they do have a outstanding running back.
Sure.
and I think that's their main facet of their offense is their running game. We're just kind of go in there, double up on our defense, and see if we can at least hold this guy in check. And I think if we can do that, I have no doubt that our offense can score. But we definitely need to step up our defense and keep this guy from running over us.
Yeah, and it's much we didn't know necessarily about Carter Lester from LCC last week, but we know about this week's guy, and I forget his name. I was on the tip of my tongue, and now I can't remember it. But we walk into this week, it doesn't get any easier,
No.
And like you said, when Marion Local's talking about how good this running back is. And not to say that they're the gold standard of who they say is good, but but when they make note of it, but when they right, and that's what I was gonna say is when they make note of it, you need to at least recognize that they're pretty darn good at what they do. So it is something that you want to kind of keep a heads up on, and it doesn't get easier. Do I think that it's not going to be a carbon copy of last week? I don't think that our coaches or our players would allow it to be a carbon copy
and I think
what happened last week.
Yeah, and I think it's two completely different type teams, honestly.
Yeah, right.
Even though they're both predominant running teams, I think Crestview is going to really lean on the run. So if we can stop that, we may be able to get a couple picks or that sort of thing.
If we can force them into a situation where they can't just always be a running team,
right? Yeah,
I agree. So if we can get a couple of stops, maybe even early, get a couple of stops to where we get them down, and they've got to get into a position where they've got to throw. Yeah, I think this game really plays into our advantage in that aspect, because if they can't get it, if they can't just run their game, and it's not going to necessarily take place right away. In the first half, if they fall down by 2 scores, they're going to do their best to keep it within a couple of scores, but they're still going to play their game. It's a matter of us putting them down by 2, 3 scores to where they're okay. We've got to make up a lot of ground.
Yeah, now we've got to open up. Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah,
and it's a difficult thing when and coach, I would never expect him, and I believe him 100% when he says we're not going to blame anything on our injuries, but my goodness, it's got to be frustrating at the same point to where you get going and you get something going, and then you lose somebody.
Yeah. Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, like Jeff said that combined over all of his years of coaching, we've had more injuries this year than all of his years combined. And we're not talking just little, hey, I dislocated my pinky and, that kind of stuff. We're talking major, like knees and hamstrings and just,
things that take a long time to heal, Alex.
Yeah, not something you're going to be out for a week and go, okay, I'm back, know.
Right, and even concussions we've had,
to
deal with concussions, that can be a 2 to 3 week process as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Depending on how severe that is. So even a concussion gets to the point where it's a little bit more difficult. And you can't just say, oh well, he'll be back next week, because you're not 100% sure.
No, there's a lot
until
of
it goes through
now.
the protocol. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like when I was a kid and they'd go, how many fingers? And you go 2. All right, you're good to go.
Well, I have 2 plus 3.
Yeah, but
or you stare at the hand and they go, "What's 2 plus 3? 5."
Yeah.
Yup, you got it. See, look.
Yeah, there you go.
where they're helping us cheat on the test. Yeah. So yeah, with homecoming, it adds a little to it. I know the guys have the game on the front burner, but at the same time,
absolutely,
those events and things that go on in the process of homecoming week make it a little more difficult of a week to maneuver, I guess would be better to say.
Yeah, I think at the same time though, it just fires a little extra embers underneath you, because you definitely don't want to lose your homecoming games,
Right.
And so I think it just gives you a little more fire and a little more, hey, I want to beat this team as bad as I can. And I'm hoping that translates into a nice big win for us.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a good game, I think.
Yeah, I think too.
We're both 5-1. We're both really good football teams. We both can, put points on the board. That's been proven for both sides. And I think Friday night's going to be a pretty eventful and hopefully a very successful evening for our Pirates. But
that's what we're hoping.
All right, JW, that brings us to the end of this week's Week 7.
Yeah, good, because it's getting dark out here.
Week 7. I know you're disappearing on me. Week 7's Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show here on Facebook, YouTube, and X. Friday, we will have our normal timed pre-game or pre-kick festivities with the Grove Systems of Bluffton kickoff show starting off at 6:05 p.m. and then followed by X's and O's with Coach Richards, presented by Jason Cox State Farm, and then the pre-kick festivities wrap up with the Cura's Flipside Grill pre-game show that will take us right into the homecoming kickoff between the Crestview Knights and the Bluffton Pirates, a couple of 5-1 teams really in good position to be competitive in the race for the NWC.
Let's get back on that winning road.
Yep, it just you got to recover and get back on the horse and take your guys with you and just get better, and that's the key. It's like Coach Richards, let's get into the tournament and whatever. We're going to get better. And when we get better, we're going to get some of these guys back. We're going to get more experience, and then come playoff time, we're going to be forced to be reckoned with. I'm hoping on that. So, all right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this week on the Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show. For Sam Sprunger, or for JW, for JW Shannon,
and
I'm Sam Sprunger. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm Sam Sprunger. We will see you on Friday, or we'll talk to you on Friday, I guess is the best way to put it. But have an awesome rest of your evening.
See ya.